Stephanie Davis feared she would be murdered by an obsessed fan-turned-twisted stalker whose horror campaign against her and her family drove her to the brink of despair. The former Hollyoaks star, 28, has only now been able to detail chillingly being stalked after the man who tormented her and her 4-year-old son, Coben, by loitering outside their home, sending gifts and creepy notes. Twisted Alex Boston, 43, who was charged after pleading guilty to stalking the actress last week, was due to appear at Liverpool Magistrates Court to be handed the punishment on Wednesday. However, Boston has since been issued with an arrest warrant after failing to turn up to court. She has exclusively shared with the Mirror how she felt like her life became a horror film and was freaked out when scenarios started to play out which mimicked Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner's hit 1992 movie The Bodyguard, which follows a famous star being stalked and harassed. The ordeal began with some hand-picked daffodil flowers being left on the driveway to her home. At the time, Steph thought nothing of it, after quizzing her mum if she had dropped them around, but could not shake the feeling something was not right. She admits that she knew deep down they weren't a gift from her mum, which her mum confirmed, but after her son asked if they could take them inside, she agreed. They stood in a vase inside, but little did Steph know that the yellow flowers were soon to become a way for her stalker to let her know he had been to visit. A few days later, Stephanie returned home to be greeted with another bunch of daffodils, but this time they had been placed outside her front door. Thinking it was odd, she once again asked her mum if it was her and if she was winding her up. Steph's mum reassured her that she was not responsible, and as the actress had started up a relationship with a new partner, who she is no longer with, she thought maybe they were from him. She says she thought it was a bit weird but didn't say anything until another delivery, with a more sinister tone, turned up at her home. This time, she was unnerved as she opened her front door to see a huge bag filled with gifts, including silky nightwear and hordes of toys for her little one. Stephanie shares that she was freaked out, especially due to a little leopard print number that was inside, as well as wound up and concerned that an unidentified person was leaving things for her son. She soon realized the package was left by whoever placed the daffodils outside, as she then spotted a cuddly teddy bear gripping the same flowers by the side of her doorway. Recalling discovering the gifts and how she knew it was not right, she tells, "I woke up and when I went to the front door there were presents, like a plant that said grow this to grow our love, like a love plant. He left a big bag of stuff that obviously he picked for me. What freaked me out was there was a little leopard print number. On reflection it makes me feel sick, as I thought he obviously looked at that, gone out and got it, and thought that it would look good on me. It was like a floaty, silky nightgown." There were no notes at this point, but what really wound me up was there was loads of stuff for Coben, toys and stuff. I started to get concerned. Then on the right-hand side of the door was a teddy bear with daffodils in its arms. Revealing how she put 2 and 2 together, Stephanie recalls, "My head clicked, daffodils again." Comparing the scenario to The Bodyguard film, she adds, "Have you seen the film The Bodyguard? Literally it's been like that, really scary." Stephanie then asked the man she was in a relationship with at the time if he'd left the gifts, but he was dead offended. But as things started to spiral, she began wondering who could be responsible. "I started questioning people," she says, "like someone else who was being full on with me at the time locally, and there was another person locally who was asking me out a lot and wouldn't take no for an answer. I started to think, was it him, as he was quite obsessive. I was thinking, who the hell was this?" Stephanie told her mom about the latest drop-off, which led to her becoming worried for her daughter. In a bid to discover who could be anonymously leaving the stuff, she decided to go through her Instagram messages. As an influencer with thousands of fans, Stephanie admits that she has a lot of unread messages, which sometimes can be weird, but she usually ignores them. She then sat down to sort through her inbox and things started to become clearer. "I noticed some messages off this account, one of hundreds, as I don't know how many accounts he's made to message me, like really obsessive and scary, but he was basically saying he knows that we are meant to be together and he loves me and wants to be a dad to Cuban," Stephanie says. "As soon as he started to mention my son, that was when I was like, this is really bad." Steph blocked the accounts, but messages kept flooding in from the obsessed fan from new accounts. She then became even more freaked out when one of the messages made it clear that the writer had been following her. "He'd even figured out where me and my best friend were going for walks during lockdown," she shares. "No one would know where this walk is, it was the little nice thing he'd do with her. I don't know how, but he figured out where this walk was, as it is near me, a scenic route, so then he was messaging me saying, 'I'm waiting for you here, come and meet me in this field.' I was scared." Steph contacted the police and they quickly came to her house to collect evidence, including the daffodils, as they wanted to test the items for fingerprints. The cops soon realized that the stalker had been wearing gloves to prevent DNA evidence from being left on anything. Steph became so on edge and felt like her safe place home had become violated that she was forced to stay at her parents' place. The soap star says it was nightmare as she and Cuban had to uproot themselves and there was not space for them at her mom and dad place. Proving the ordeal was ruining Steph's life, she was suffering from panic attacks and couldn't sleep. She says, "I wasn't sleeping, every time I left home I was having panic attacks, I wasn't sleeping, so I was waking up panicked and checking Cuban as I thought something was going to happen to him." Furious at the power the stalker had over her, she recalls, "Just not being in your own home, having to go back every day to get clothes, and just not being able to be at home where that's mine and Cuban's safe place was horrible, and he violated that. It was basically like living in a horror film," she says. Then Stephanie started returning to her home for a few hours at a time as she had started dating a new man. As the relationship was just beginning, she was not ready to introduce her son to her new boso. In order to have some time to herself, as a single mom, she would put Cuban to bed at her mom's before heading back home. "I only ever went there to spend a few hours then go back to mom's," she shares. Steph, who had cameras installed after the stalking began, then found herself and the man she was dating at the time, Oliver, up for hours chatting until the early hours. When she noticed the time was 3 a.m., she told Oliver she had to get back to her mom's house as she was too scared to stay at hers, especially as she had a feeling something was not right. Steph's intuition turned out to be spot on, which was revealed when she and her family reviewed her security tapes, as the stalker was watching her and Oliver for hours and followed them as they left her house to get into a car. Explaining the chilling footage, that confirmed her suspicions, she recalls, "So he, Oliver, was dropping me back. I had a bad feeling and said something doesn't feel right. I told Oliver I feel like this stalker is here and was proper in fear." Oliver told Steph she was being worried and that it was fine, but as she walked down the drive she told him that she felt someone was watching her. The next day when she watched back the tapes she realized she was right. In the eerie scenes, the stalker was there, dressed in a hooded jumper, watching Steph as she strode out of her house with Oliver. The man is seen on the video following the pair before scampering off into the darkness. Remembering watching the clip unfold, Steph says, "We saw that before me and my ex left he had arrived. And God know what he was doing at the side of the house, but he was there for a while. I think he might have been watching and my ex, Oliver, through the window. He had a full balaclava on, black gloves, all dressed in black and a birdhouse jacket on. The balaclava was scary. On the video, he saw us come out. It was so quiet and he hid. I walked straight past him. As I walked past him, he then came out behind me and casually strolled along. What I also noticed was at the start of the video he had flowers, and when he left he didn't, and he left me more flowers again at the side of my house." Steph began fearing the worst and was starting to worry that the stalker would try and kill her. "At this point, I was like, what am I going to do if he tries to kill me? It was really scary. He's coming to my house," she shares. "He is waiting for hours outside. What is he planning? Is he looking for ways to get in? Is he watching through the window? Is he doing something more disturbing?" The harassment continued, with Steph only getting more distressed, disturbed and worried. Thinking back to the time, she tells, he started coming and leaving more things in the middle of the night, so he had purposely set his alarm, got dressed in gloves, so no fingerprints, and a balaclava, so sick a grown man doing this to a young woman and 4-year-old. "The fear he's put into me, I can't even tell you." Steph then began receiving letters from her stalker, and some included threats that he would kill himself if she did not return his affection. "I started getting letters through my door, posted to my address, but again he'd worn gloves, so no fingerprints. He did everything so well thought through to cover his tracks. They all got taken for evidence," Steph says. Telling how it took a toll on her mental health, the mother of one adds, "He then started threatening suicide on me if I didn't respond or see him. I have a big fear of people who threaten to do that. It really got to me. He was putting his life in my hands. It was mental torture," he kept saying it. "The pressure it put on me. Emotional abuse." Despite the letters causing an incredible emotional pain for Stephanie, it was the notes that led to her stalker being found. One of the terrifying messages was his downfall, as he accidentally left a fingerprint behind. After this breakthrough, police were able to identify the stalker and arrest him after obtaining a warrant to search his home. Detectives told Steph that there was no doubt he was the man, as when they checked out his abode it was obvious it was about the actress. The cops did not detail exactly what they found to her, as they did not want to scare her, but they made it clear that the perpetrator was unhinged.